She played a game full of self-confidence, loyalty, and being herself while also being the oldest of the season. Third place finisher Sue joins me now on Survivor Season 47. Sue, the season's wrapped now. Everyone's seen the finale. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great. This was the best adventure of my life. It was definitely a thrill, and I don't know, I no regrets whatsoever. I
Hey,
love
you
it.
you can't have any, right? So, Sue, why don't you
Yeah.
kind of describe your overall gameplay to me?
So my gameplay, I went in wanting to be underestimated. I didn't want them to know that I have a brain. I didn't want them to know I'm a pilot, that I own a flight school, I'm a successful business owner. I didn't want them to know that I was 58, 59. I just felt like if I say I'm in my 40s, they're not going to have me dead and buried in a grave. Because I think with all of the seasons that I've always remembered, the older person is the easy person to vote out when you're in a clinch. So I really, I went in, saying I'm younger than what I am, more so just to like not have them be dead and buried, and I really wanted that to be my big boom, at the finale, that look, I'm not in my 40s, I'm going to be 60 next year and I beat all you. That is exactly, how I played the game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, I want to walk through some kind of what I would call pivotal or iconic moments in the game that you had. The first one is this whole red paint idol situation. I am kind of stunned as a viewer that people were not more questioning of that situation. So, I want you to kind of tell me, like, first of all, what was it like having to retrieve that idol and in that specific way? But then secondly, why do you think maybe some of your castmates weren't questioning that a little bit more?
It blows my mind. So first of all, that was like the most paint I think they've ever dropped. It was all over the place. Took me about 45 minutes to clean up. And I literally was taking scoops of red sand, red, wet, disgusting sand, and running as far as I could to bury it. Do it again, 45 minutes ish. And then, again, you had to clean the idol too. Every time you touched the paint, it was like a gel based something and it wouldn't rinse off. It's not like you could pour water and it would come off. You had to scrub and it still wasn't coming off. So when I got caught by Caroline and Tiana, I'm like, oh my God. And you're like, I hid my body behind, I knew it was on my legs. I didn't know it was on my face and my hair. So I hid behind the water well thinking they're not going to see it. But then when, Tiana said, Sue, what's that on your face? I'm like, oh shoot. And I just said to them, you know what? I made him, I did something stupid and can I just tell you later? And then, I had to come up with a story. I couldn't show them. I cut myself with a machete, right? Because I'd have to show them a wound and I didn't have one. So my story was that I was walking in the woods and I fell in this little hole and I bit the back of my tongue. And the sight of blood makes me pass out. It makes me dizzy. So I laid down trying to like just not pass out. The blood pooled in the back of my throat. And then I started gagging because I could taste it. So I rolled over and I started dry heaving, and my hair was like dipping in the red blood from my throwing it up. And that was the story I went with. I didn't have any other story to tell them. And they just said, okay, well, as long as you're okay. And I'm like, did I get away with that? Like I don't know. So nothing was ever said again. And like in my mind, I just kept thinking, how are they not saying anything to me? And I just didn't know if I played such an underestimated game or what. Like it was weird. And then when the merge happened and the whole crime scene came out again, I'm like, I'm screwed. Like literally, and that's when Caroline obviously put two and two together, and she's like, I'm proud of you. And I said, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, blah, blah, blah. But I knew I had to get Tiana out because she's a smart woman, right? I knew there's secrets aren't really kept on Survivor. So I needed to get her out as soon as possible.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
nobody just thought it could be possible
right?
that I could find something.
Well, I think it's impressive that you were able to get away with it. And I appreciate hearing that full kind of explanation because it just gives more insight, I think, into the situation. But speaking of that, so obviously with that situation, you acquired an idol. And what's impressive is you kept that idol in your pocket for quite a long time in the game, longer than anyone else did for sure. So
Yeah.
I am curious though. So you decided to play that at Final Five, which technically speaking is the last time you could have played it.
Yes.
But my question is, why did you choose to play it knowing that you were seemingly safe instead of keeping it with you, maybe using that as a ploy at the end, kind of like we saw Marianne do a few seasons ago?
Well, I guess my ego. I don't know. I just wanted to like, this is cool and it's Final Five. And the whole time, like every morning I woke up and I'm like dangling my idol and I'm just like, I'm playing this baby tonight. I thought I'd have to play it. And somehow things flipped around and I never had to play it. And I felt confident in my alliance and in, the conversations we had that like I was always safe. So like I didn't need to play it. I wasn't going to waste it. And I never knew if there would be a time I would need it. And I was like in my brain, I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. They didn't show it, but Final Five, I win it when I said I had found this and I said, here's this, I'm solving the mystery to the crimes, red paint crime scene. And so I went into a whole description. They didn't air it, but like I had a whole thing to share with them about the whole crime scene because I was calling it a crime scene and that, I got away with it. But then when we merged, all of a sudden, like I could feel them coming towards me again. So it was fun for me.
Yeah, no, I like that too. Man, I wish we would have got to see that on air, but that's okay.
Yeah, that
So,
would have been cool.
okay, something else that I've just been dying to ask you since the
I
early
know what it
episodes.
is.
You know what I'm going to say. Everyone on
Yes.
social media is asking about it, and I don't feel like I've seen an answer anywhere. What's up with the dirt on the face all season long, Sue?
So here's the thing. Like, I have to say, I'm the type of person that I'm not afraid to get dirty. I had my idol. I was constantly digging and searching for something else because I wanted to, like, how do you not want to have more than one? I wanted so much. I was always dirty. I was always digging. That was more soot on my face. The Here's the story. Like the fire was here. I was sleeping next to the fire and Andy would sleep next to me. When every morning when Andy got up or in the middle of the night even, he'd step over my head and all the dirt from his body from sleeping in the dirt would fall on my face. So when you're sleeping too, I had a little shirt that I use as a pillow, but basically your face is in the dirt. I didn't have a mirror. I didn't know my face was so dirty. When I would sprinkle my face in the morning and I would put suntan lotion on because I was able to put suntan lotion on. If my hands were sooty from,
And she's most willing to
the
like put her
stones that I
necklace
would
there
bring
and do
in,
the
because I
dirty work.
would
We're
heat
animal lovers.
stones by the
Yeah.
fire and bring them into my
She's the
body
one who
all night
crawled
long because
through
I
the
was always
mud,
so cold.
searching for idols. Come
I don't know. I didn't
on.
realize that
She's
I
like
was as
literally
dirty as I
crawling on like,
was.
hands and
I
knees,
did
getting dirtier,
splash my
dirtier
face.
every
I
single
didn't
day.
rub it. I
We
didn't
all
know it
know
was
getting
dirty, and I
together
just
on
never even
Survivor is
thought about it.
complex
And
and messy and
there was no soap, everyone. So soot doesn't come off. I had two conversations. I have a conversation with Rachel and Caroline. They're the only two people that ever mentioned my face was dirty. And one time even Rachel was just like, just wipe right there. And so I'd wipe it and she'd like a little bit more and I'd wipe it again and she'd like still there. And I just said, forget it. Like it's whatever. I didn't care. Like I couldn't get it off. And I didn't even know it was soot. And even the girls were like, when we were with you, it didn't look as dirty as it did on TV, so I don't know. I had a dirty face. There's nothing I could do. I had a dirty face.
You're like,
It
deal
is
with
what it
it.
is. And you know what? I made a beautiful contouring video from it. So,
Hey,
mm.
there you go. Yeah, take that. Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite parts about your game, and this is obviously kind of how you defended yourself in the end too, was loyalty. And we saw this played out with Gabe and Caroline specifically. But once Gabe left, it was really just you and Caroline. We see you be loyal to Rachel in the end. But the relationship that sticks out to me most is the Caroline relationship. You guys had this very mother
Oh,
daughter relationship. You were very tight. Describe to me kind of what that alliance and that relationship meant to you in the game.
that was home. You know what I mean? It was home. And like she took the place, she filled that,
Really, at this
like you're
point,
missing
no one
home
is
and,
as
she
close
was
as
missing
Sue
her
and
mom
I
and I was
wonder if
missing my
sometimes she sees
daughter
her
and
daughter in me
we
and
were
turns out
that,
if her
like
daughter was
we
playing,
immediately
maybe she'd
built that.
manifest
And
what her daughter
it
would be
was, it was
playing
a,
like.
it was a
I'm proud of
beautiful,
you.
beautiful
You know,
relationship.
your
And
personal
there were sometimes there
space.
were
I'm
days
just
that
filling
like
my mind
we
with
didn't even
things
like
that I
speak because she was doing other
You've
things and I
also
was doing
reminded
other
me that
things,
you're
but we
always
were
ready for
there.
us.
It was like that
As a duo, they
mother-daughter
have
relationship
all the tools,
that
all
is
the
going to
roles
stick with
that
us
we need
forever.
to make it to
And
the end. I
we had
like
each
playing
other's
her as a
backs and she'd be
strategist.
like just checking in, are you good? And I'm like, I'm good. And are you good? And like we knew if somebody needed someone we were there for each other. But we still, like I gave her her room to go be Caroline and that's what she needed to be. And I was so proud of her, even though it was devastating to lose Gabe and that she blindsided him. Like I was so proud of her that she played her game and not Gabe's game. So you can't be mad at someone, you just gotta, be proud of them shining, and that was, she was home to me.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, how lucky for you to have such a special relationship in this game, right? Not everyone gets that opportunity. So, one of the things that also really stuck out to me in your final tribal council answers was talking about how, if nothing else, you're out there to prove to your grandson that, like, hey, grandma can do this, and I made it to the end, and I have the ability to win. What's that like for you now, knowing that the season aired, knowing that your grandson's here? Like, what did that mean to you to be able to kind of represent that just very strong strength as a woman, and a woman, nearing 60 who did the thing?
Yeah, it's something that, like I always picture, like most people look at their grandparents and they're like sort of old and have a hard time walking maybe or whatever. And to me, like I, he can have this forever of me at this age and me competing and surviving and struggling and fighting through things. And I just wanted like him to always be proud of his grandma, and he'll always remember me at this age and who I am and what I did. And it's just, it's like a legacy, it's a legacy that like, if I can have the strength and do this, I want him to believe in himself too and say, it's got it in my blood. My grandma did this and, I'm going to do it too. And I'm going to just be strong and face my fears and don't allow other people to tell me I can't do anything, And so like, it's such a huge meaning in so many different ways. But all in all, I love that my Aiden will always see me at this age.
Yeah. Well, and I
Being a
love that. Yeah, and I love that you said legacy because they brought up Survivor Legacy last night, but it's like I think for you it goes beyond that. This is your legacy for your family, and they get to keep that for as long as technology is around, which is going to be forever. So,
Yeah.
I am curious to know, you mentioned how when you used the idol, you brought up the whole crime scene thing, and so that made me think of unaired moments. Is there a moment that kind of stuck out to you while you were out there on the island that didn't make it to air?
There's a moment that will stay with me forever. And so in the very first few days, I was really, really sick. And there's a few of us that became very, very sick. And it was my daughter's birthday. And I was in our shelter and just worried about, is this me being sick gonna make me so weak that one, if we lose, they're gonna vote me out? You know how it goes? Like, and again, because of my age and what the old lady's sick and blah, 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 and the whole thing, right? So there's so many things going through your mind of just like, this is killing my game. And really, really sick by this one night, and it was Chelsea's birthday at home. And they surprised me, Tuku surprised me by building a huge fire, and they sang happy birthday to her. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm trying to sing, I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm sick. And I'm just like, I pray that they play this because my daughter will die. Like my daughter will not believe that these strangers that I don't even know did the kindest thing for me, for my daughter. Like it just shows the human side of, we're playing a game and we're gonna battle it out and maybe not like each other. But in that moment, that was like community, it was caring, love, and they did it for me, for my daughter. And for the rest of my life, that is like the most special. Sorry, my phone. That is I just heard a thing. I'm like, oh, that is by far the best moment I ever had.
Oh my gosh, you're like making me emotional over here. That's
Oh,
beautiful. So I love that. I love that. Okay, final question for you. You ready for this? You
ready.
played an incredible game. If you ever got the call, would you return and go back to Fiji or whatever island they're on and do this again?
You don't even have to ask me that. I would go in a heartbeat, a heartbeat. Yes, 100%.
Bags are packed. You're
I,
back to Fiji now.
I'm not $1 million. I'm not a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire.
Hey, there you. Hey, I think
And
that's
then
enough
I
said
would
right
be
there.
the oldest person to ever win Survivor, right?
Hey, there you go.
Call
Exactly.
me, guys. Call
Yeah.
me.
Ring a ding ding. Call Sue. She needs it. All right. Well,
I
Sue,
mean,
it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Congrats on such a successful season and all the iconic moments that you brought us. Best of luck. Go be a grandma. Go have fun. Go enjoy life.
I will. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
You too.